So Casey here with Officer Hoffman. Thank you for having me along
Yeah,
today.
absolutely.
Appreciate it. And we just had a stop for resolving an issue with an animal bite. And now we're leaving, headed out into Main Street, and just learning a little bit more about what it's like in the life of a police officer here in Sun Prairie. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Officer Hoffman, why did you decide to get into law enforcement?
So when growing up and being in college and stuff, I was heavily involved in athletics and in the team sports realm of things. There was always about doing something greater than yourself. It was service based, whether it was serving your teammates or getting out in your communities and doing volunteer work. It was always about doing something greater than yourself. And so when I graduated college and I was done playing baseball. I kind of felt like I needed something to fill that void, and I really wanted to do something service based. And I did a few ride alongs, and I decided I think this is what I want to do.
Nice. The ride-alongs, like what prompted that? Did someone recommend that you give that a try, or was it just something you went out and did on your own?
Yeah, so I kind of can answer that in two parts. So, growing up, I guess before I knew I wanted to be a police officer, one of my dad's best friends growing up, Jerry Raffle, he was a Middleton police officer for 28 years. And I always was super intrigued about what he did. In fact, when we were kids, he drove my dad and I and his son Jake. We would go to the Brewer game in a police car, and they would hand out baseball cards and do their thing, right?
Nice.
So that's kind of what sparked my interest in getting into the policing and then when I graduated college and I realized, all right, I need to essentially find a big boy job, for lack of better terms. One of my other buddies, Nate Schmidt, who's now an officer in Lake Delton, he had me come on a ride along, and he was probably about a year and a half into his line of work at that point. And so that was kind of my first one. And then I just decided from there, I'm going to do as many as I can to see if this is something I want to do. And now here we are.
Nice. And how long have you been a police officer now?
I just hit my 7 year mark
Oh, wow.
in August of this year. So I'm working on year 8.
Nice. Very cool. And then I heard you did baseball in college. You want to tell us a little bit about your baseball career?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I grew up in Sun Prairie, and then ended up going to Madison College. Played for Coach Davenport, great guy. For 2 years there, and then I transferred to Middle Tennessee State. Played for Coach McGuire down there, and really all of the experiences and the relationships and everything that you build throughout that time, really kind of forms who you are today. And I think I take value from not the baseball thing that was fun, right? But the lessons that you learn from it is, I think, what's bigger
Yeah,
takeaway.
definitely. You definitely appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I know we were talking earlier. What does a typical shift look like right now?
So it can be different every day. Today I don't want to jinx it, but you've seen what today's been like. But in other days we're going call to call to call to call. Depending on the day, we could have only 5 officers working at one time. That's our minimum staffing numbers for second shift. On a good day, maybe 7 or 8 officers. So it just depends. And, we're a city of about 40,000 people. I think we're approaching 26,000 calls this year. So it just depends on what the city brings this day.
And if there's anyone who's looking to become a police officer, like how do they go about doing that?
So first, I think you should just do your homework on, what the career's about. And I think a lot of people get fixated on maybe movies or entertainment or maybe even what they see in the news, and they kind of form an opinion. And I think the best advice I can give is do your own homework. For me, it was ride-alongs, just
Yeah.
getting in the front seat and going to see, firsthand what officers are doing in the community, and try to form my own opinion about, what this job's about and what the officers do. Um, and then if you decide that that's something that you want to do with your life, you need I think it's 60 college credits minimally. I think most agencies probably prefer a bachelor's degree, but it's not necessarily a requirement. And then you would go to the police academy. If you sponsor yourself, meaning you pay for it yourself, you would go in and get certified to the state. But if you get hired and an agency sponsors you through, then they would pay for your academy, and essentially you're employed with that agency. And then you would get into the field training program after that, and then kind of just go from there.
Nice. Yeah, I remember when my cousin went through the process. Kind of interesting fact. My cousin, he first worked for the Green Bay PD,
Okay.
and actually Chief Works wore him in.
I was gonna say that's where Chief Fort came from.
Yeah.
a small world.
Yeah, so that's my first time meeting Chief Warwick several years ago, actually.
Sure, that's funny.
And then we both ended up in Sun Prairie.
Funny how it all works out.
Yeah.
So we're actually doing a little traffic op on Main Street, so you get to see
I
that.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I saw a few.
Fred told me to pop over there, so we'll
All
do
right.
that. Yeah, when we have downtime, we like to pick a spot. You know, people are in a hurry or they get distracted and they don't realize that they're speeding. So that's
Yeah.
why we're there to try and get people to slow down.
Yeah. I know. When we were off camera, I was sharing with Officer Hoffmann that when canvassing around the neighborhood, that was one of the top concerns that many of our neighbors had was speeding.
Yeah, it's a concern. I mean, we hear that a lot from Sergeant Lefebvre. He's our traffic sergeant who kind of coordinates and identifies areas of concern and wants officers to spend time there, during their downtime. And that's what we're told is that a lot of the citizens or the constituents in the community, they are concerned about the speed that happens. So we try to get out there. We minimally try to show some presence. And there's obviously some enforcement that goes along with that as well.
Yeah, and I know it's tough when we're often understaffed. There's a lot of responsibilities. It's hard to always be on the street, and it's hard to check every street too.
Right. Yeah, so right now we're actually going to the area of Main Street and Walker Way. Sergeant Garcia is forming a traffic operation. So officers that are free, which I think is pretty much everybody, will participate. And our goal really is to get people to slow down, right? I think a lot of people have the, I guess, misconception rather that, we're out to hide and just write tickets and meet a quota. And believe it or not, quotas are illegal in the state of Wisconsin. So there is no such thing. We don't operate under those procedures. Our main thing is just visibility and presence and ultimately just have people slow down.
Yeah.
I don't know, a lot of people probably don't know this, but around the time of 2020 to 2021-ish, we had like about 5 fatality crashes on Main Street, a 25-mile-an-hour zone,
Yeah.
or I think then it was 30. So it goes a long way just to be present and if it's even just stopping somebody providing a warning, sometimes that alone will cause people to slow down. There's one with a laser, and the laser can point a long ways. And basically, we just get in line and we try to. Oh, there's
one.
Sergeant Garcia stopping somebody now. We 7631 traffic.
7631.
Main
Incident assigned.
Come on, a little bit further.
Over.
Your incident was updated.
We're pulled into the varsity.
Yep.
I always run the plate before I exit the vehicle just in case there's a chance it's stolen. If it's stolen, then we do it's called a felony stop or high risk stop.
7646. 7646. Copy of battery. The caller's going to get fit X said he was involved in a physical altercation at the Dollar General with multiple subjects about 15 minutes ago. The suspect slept in a black Oldsmobile headed toward the highway.
All right. Looks like a young driver.
Okay.
Says she hasn't been stopped for speed in the last year. If they're at around that mark where it's about 10 over, so I generally, if they have a clean record, will give them a warning.
All right.
This is kind of one of those situations where I tell you, especially a young driver,
Yeah.
where I tell you that sometimes just the contact alone will get them to slow down. I could tell just by speaking with her that she seemed a little nervous, and I'm sure that the warning and the stop alone will get her to slow down here.
Yep. That would work for me too.
New message.
Yeah.
New message.
Just in case, you ever
Right.
stop me sometime.
Oh, sure. I like to think I'm pretty reasonable with people.
Yeah.
And that's something I always tell people too, is like, we're human too.
Yep.
We've made mistakes before. I've been stopped for speeding before.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things that sometimes we all get a little caught up in the driving. We
Yeah.
lose track of our speed. So I like to be fair and reasonable with people.
Yeah.
And once we run their data, make sure that they don't have warrants or anything concerning, we just call it that we're 10-2, which means we're okay. No vehicle associated to it. Delete all these returns before
New
make sure I
message.
ran the plate right.
7648.
I'm gonna wait actually until I see what's being dispatched.
7648, have you check property? The callers at 2230 Stonehaven. Drive reports hearing several reports possibly coming from the northwest, or just like the area check.
People hearing gunshots. Yeah, they pulled into. So if like something's being dispatched, I try to hold off on doing traffic, just in the event that it's something bigger.
Yeah.
Or that I need to be available, especially considering our numbers.
Number 7648. I'll show you tonight.
So you noticed something about that license plate on that vehicle?
Yeah. So
7630.
when we do traffic enforcement, when we drive around, there's no reasonable expectation of privacy in people's license plates. So we can run the license plate to make sure that the vehicle is registered. We can run the registered owner of that vehicle to make sure that they're licensed. And when you do those checks, we call them NCIC and DOT checks. Essentially, those returns can sometimes tell you if vehicles are expired, not registered, stolen. That's the bigger ones. It can also tell you if drivers have warrants. But it's also not always just about that either. Sometimes you come into contact with people who are listed as missing, endangered, or there's welfare concerns for people. So there's a lot of reasons why we run people and run vehicles and stuff.
If a vehicle comes back, like stolen, for example, would you wait for backup in that situation?
Yes.
Because that'd be like an escalated or a
Yep.
more dangerous potential
Yeah,
situation.
so anytime there's a stolen vehicle, we call it a high risk stop situation. So what we do is we try to get multiple units in the area before we even initiate the stop.
Yeah.
So one of our last ones, we followed a car for probably half a mile to a mile before we even initiated a stop, just allowing time for officers to get in the area, because those are the kind of calls that the more numbers you have, the better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, tactics is a big part of it. Deciding when we're going to make the stop, how we're going to make the stop, all that stuff will play into what information we have in front of us.
So what has been the most rewarding part of your job?
I think just being able to get in the community and just, it doesn't always feel like you're making a difference, but I think you are. There's been times where people really thank you. They really appreciate what you did, and while we're just showing up to do our work, it's just a rewarding feeling to be able to know that you can help people and make a difference in somebody's life. So
yeah, for sure. Even the guy we met earlier today, who was so relieved when he found out that the dog bite,
right,
the dog didn't, well, the dog was up to date on the rabies shots, so
sure,
you could hear the relief in his voice.
Yeah, and that just even the littlest thing, I think, can really mean a lot to people, and to have a part in that, and just to be out in the community and build our relationships. And our big thing is public trust, right? We want to build public trust, and we want to make people feel safe in this city. We want people to feel like they can call us if they're not feeling safe. And so every interaction, I think, matters. And too, even when you have to arrest somebody, right? That's part of the job. I've had people thank me, after we book them into the jail, and they're not thanking me for arresting them. They're just thanking me for treating them fairly and treating them with respect. And that's really, I think, what all of us, try to do here in the department, is just be fair and reasonable with people. Obviously, act accordingly within our policies and our procedures. We still obviously want the accountability piece, right? But you can do everything with professionalism and respect, and that's, I think, what we do a pretty good job of here in Sun Prairie. Sure.
With all the hours, all the overtime, what do you do to kind of decompress, to have some work-life balance?
Yeah. I love to spend time with my dog,
Nice.
Sadie. Anybody who knows me is probably laughing at this right now. She's a 4-year-old golden doodle. Most people probably think I have like a German Shepherd or something. Maybe not, but yeah, I have a 4-year-old golden doodle. We go to the dog park, take her on walks. I love to spend time with my family and friends. My brother-in-law Brett, he works for us as well. He married my sister, and they have 3 kids. So I like to go over there and visit them, and it's kind of brightens your day. I like to, be active, work out, whatever. I need to work out more than I do, but yeah, I mean, there's things that we all do. We kind of have our own different things. People have their families or their hobbies or whatever, to get out and get away from the job. And that's kind of one of the things that is really stressed upon us here is when you're not here, don't be here.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Be away, be home, be present in your life, because there's a life outside of here for sure.
And I know some jobs are harder to turn off at the end of the day than others, and I'd imagine being a police officer is one of those jobs that is kind of hard to turn off sometimes if you have a rough day.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think there's, over time you kind of build, this might sound, I guess, a little weird, but you build a little sense of numbness, to bad things that you see. And I think that's just your brain and your body's way of protecting you from all the trauma that you're going to see in this career over the course of, 25, 30 years. But like for me personally, if I have a long day, like I said, I'm kind of an adrenaline junkie. And so, I get done at 10, but a lot of times I can't fall asleep until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning.
I don't think I could handle it, to be honest, being a police officer.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. I think a lot of people, I actually thought that too before I was a police officer. I'm like, oh, I don't think I could do that, and then, like I said, I started doing some ride-alongs, and you kind of interact with people, and you kind of start to find your style and your way of doing things, and you'd be surprised. I think more people could probably do this job than what they think.
Today, we were having the conversation during a roll call, and I shared about this incident everyone heard about at Cabela's, where we had these 3 14-year-old kids, like really, me 14. I'm a teacher. Those are the age of the kids that I teach.
Sure.
And I can't imagine a 14-year-old doing what these kids had done.
Yeah.
But then talking with you and your other colleagues at roll call, like, this is way too common. So that kids as young as 13, 14 getting mixed up in this type of trouble.
Yeah, it's, I know we kind of talked about the fun part of the action that we kind of got with that call, but ultimately it is sad, and it can be a little frustrating to see that that's happening. And it's a bigger problem than, just that. I mean, it's, a lot of these kids just aren't growing up in the best environments, and don't have positive role models. And so they're just doing kind of what they see. Right. And not to make excuses, but, that's why I think it's just really important for people to be involved in the community, setting good examples. I'm a huge, like, for kids getting involved in sports.
Yeah, for sure.
It gets people to be, it teaches discipline, it teaches teamwork, it teaches accountability. And so it oftentimes is sad to see when there are, good opportunities for people, and things like this are happening, so, yeah, it is all too common. We've definitely seen our fair share of it here.
Big thank you to Officer Hoffmann for the ride along. Our officers are asked to be counselors, mediators, first responders all at once. They're part of our community, our neighbors. They signed up because they truly want to help make our community safer. They want to serve and protect all of us. I understand how vital it is that we continue to support our police with training, resources, and making the public aware of the work that they do. A strong relationship between the community and the police is vital. I'm proud of the work being done here. Thanks for watching.